All right, thank you very much, Paul. We're here, me and Danog, ready to get going. We've got Navi versus Team kicking off ESL One Mumbai. We've heard from the panel. Matt, what's your take on this first draft?
I completely agree with the other two, right? Like,
Yep.
Navi,
Not going to rock the boat?
Not going to rock the boat. The thing that kind of confuses me a little bit there is, you know, you've got this 5 melee strat, right? It's like harkens back to MVP Phoenix days, right? When we saw Caveman Dota really rear its ugly head. But with the way that they've picked and drafted in the past, it kind of is a little bit weird, right? Because Team have picked a bunch of heroes that they've got really high win rates on. So if you look at it just from a stats perspective, you're probably going to think, okay, they're pretty well favored. But on Navi's side, they've basically all picked heroes that they either have a 50% win rate or below on. But I just think with the actual composition and how they've gone about it, Navi, despite maybe not winning quite as much, I think they're going to come out on top.
Yeah, I really like the matchups here for Navi. I'm really worried about this Brewmaster for Team. It feels like Brax has to get a lot done. Sure, the Ember Spirit's going to be able to fight as well, but Brewmaster looks like he's going to have a pretty rough lane. You know, the spin is a lot of damage. They can always dispel off the Drunken Brawler as well using the Oracle, so it's not really super useful in that sense. And overall laning situation for Navi just seems that little bit better to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way that Nusham builds, he's already got the Boots of Speed picked up there, so he's not going to have that threat of being chased down really early on by the combination with the Oracle Root and the Juggernaut Spin. And they've also got a couple of other heroes that have rotated around with them. You know, they had the Ember Spirit there with them, but he's backed off. He wants to block off a little bit. But
how much is blocking the lane going to help as the Shaker? Is that gonna be enough to make the Brewmaster's lane kind of tolerable? Like, if they don't have room to chase him, then they won't be able to kill him with spin, I suppose.
I mean, it's going to be difficult. Nusham...
Oh, toss coming in. All right, Chu does manage to grab that bounty, but still 2-2 split across the board.
Yeah, 2-2 split. He's already used the Fisher, so another 10 seconds until he can. I'm sure he'll want to, you know, try and get the most favorable matchup for him as possible, but, you know, against an Oracle Juggernaut, you're always going to have a little bit of difficulty as we see the top lane with the Undying. You know, it's always going to be quite difficult laning against that, you know, particularly early on with people needing to get right in that melee range to actually have the full effectiveness. So,
is this the one lane for Team that should go pretty well, the Undying against the double melee?
I would think so, you know, particularly because they are both strength heroes as well, so it just takes off a lot of what they're able to do, both damage-wise as well as the HP.
Yeah, just got to make sure to keep the lane under control as well. Blizzy has opted for the Devour first, so going to help him sustain a little bit against the harassment. And I guess we'll just have to see what creep pops up at the 1 minute mark.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking just like what sort of timings both teams really going to be going for, right? You know, you've got this Earthshaker where Nusham really likes playing these high impact, you know, burst team fight position for heroes. You know, he goes the Enigma, he goes the Earthshaker, he goes Earth Spirit, you know, these heroes that can really start a fight and or counter initiate. So they're going to put a lot of priority into him, into actually building up into a lot of farm early on. We can see right now he's pulled a creep wave all the way back nearly to the tier 3 tower in that bot lane.
Yeah, just wants to secure all 4 of those CS. To me, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Navi are much more comfortable taking this late here. I think they outscale Team by an order of magnitude. It's going to be really easy for them in the late game. They've got the full Tricore, right? Yep. They've got the full scary Tricore, whereas Team Sven falls off a little bit. Brewmaster can scale, but like I've said, I think it's a difficult game for him. And the Ember is starting with a tough lane, so going to be hard to catch up. Though Gunner's doing pretty well so far, got to say. 9-2 versus 8-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, toss back on Mike. He's actually under the tower, but this is Undying we're talking about, and Envy's there to help out.
Absolutely, and that's the real bonus of running this Sven, which I think Team's one of the few teams that purely run that Sven in that core role, right? A lot of teams kind of throw it around as a Mr. Fix-It kind of deal, but you can really benefit from the fact that the Warcry is based off a lot of the strength now, right? And so you don't have to worry about, oh, well, Warcry is not going to actually benefit the team as much. You can be both a damage dealer as well as something that just makes the rest of your team very hard to kill, which could definitely be a factor with this 5 melee lineup.
The Warcry is weaker as a counter to the Jug now, right? I would say, just because it's not armor. So the Omnislash is going to get through that pretty quickly, but still useful to have, of course. And yeah, like you're saying, Sven used to be very popular, kind of position 3, received a lot of nerfs. I guess position 4 and 5, we were also seeing him.
Magical blocked off in the mid lane, but doesn't look like they'll be able to follow up on it either.
He's just manning up, just giving Gunner the punches.
Yeah. And you mentioned before about, you know, the scalability of Na'Vi versus Team. You know, you've got this, particularly the OD. I think he's going to be the real game changer for his team, right? Because you've got all of these strength heroes, you've got all these melee cores that just aren't going to have the same level of impact, you know, not very high int gain on any of these. And so it's going to be kind of difficult. They're going to be taking a ton of damage through this Sanity's Eclipse, and I think that they've got the teamfight control to enable that to happen, both with the Doom, as well as the tiny initiation and everything else in between.
Ooh, a little glyph used to prevent some of the mana regain for Magical at mid. It's a cute little play, but it works out pretty nicely, and he's still down about a third mana here. So it's always the little things. What are you expecting build-wise from the OD? How important is Blink? Is there room for a Midas? What are the thoughts here? Mike in some trouble at top. Still pretty tanky, still has another decay, but getting blocked in a little bit. Lucian's here to help out though, and the Fisher block is gonna look like be enough though. They get another toss back into tower range, one auto attack coming through, and that is going to be your first blood. I talked about it on the panel, and these tiny tosses, super useful.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just being able to have that utility of not just being purely an initiation. You know, he's a position 4. He can just fulfill so many roles, rotate around the map, be a constant threat. You can see Nusham wants to make a bit more of an impact.
Yeah, we got mid laners manning up against each other, both of them down to about half HP. Gunnar going in pretty aggressively, needs to be careful though. Chu is here, doesn't have the mana quite. The stick charge is not going to be enough to give him a toss either. So actually looks like the Tiny now the one in trouble. They've still got the block, and Imprisonment comes through. Looks like Magical and Chu both going to be okay.
Yeah, having that 0 armor and manning up against an Earthshake, you know, when he's got that enchant totem particularly, right, you're going to take a lot of damage, particularly if you're blocked off like that, and taking a little bit from all the creeps in the lane as well. But in terms of what Magical likes to build, he tends to really go for this frontliner style, right? Because Na'Vi like to run, for example, the Razor. It was banned out this game, but the way that Crystallize and Magical play it are very different. You know, Magical likes to build the Yule's BKB, whereas Crystallize is a bit more of the, you know, just constant sustain and the pick-off potential of having like an Atos and an SNY. So I think it might be a bit of that style where he just wants to live for as long as possible. And even then, if they look to commit even further onto it, you've got the Oracle save, so you can use the False Promise to maybe save him.
Do you think he even goes even further in and you consider the health talent versus the attack speed at level 10?
I don't know. I think particularly in this game, the attack speed is so useful.
It's so value.
Yeah, and against this lineup as well, right? You know, you don't have a lot of heroes that are going to be...
Lizzie's blocked in at top, but he's got this Ice Armor, so he's actually really not taking very much damage. Ice Armor and the Chainmail. Doom, not normally a very high armor hero, but he's got plus 13 in this situation.
Yeah, and the Devour creep as well, right? So it's just you know, constant regen coming up for him. He didn't even think about popping that salve. It's still sitting in his backpack, and he's happy to go back to the jungle.
So he's having a pretty good time, though. I mean, Brack's not too far behind in terms of levels. He's been jungling quite a bit at this bottom lane, just waiting for it to get pushed in. They do get a toss back on Gunnar at mid. He's not level 6 just yet. Chu trying with the body blocks. Sanity's Eclipse doesn't do anything. Looks like it was actually dodged by the Slight. And Gunnar gonna give him the tip as well. Why not? Magical now basically nothing in the tank to work with. Even popped that Imprisonment without the Equilibrium off cooldown. So.
He's a little bit behind, you know. We can see him building again into those power treads, so he's prioritizing a lot of this attack speed, wanting to get a lot of that stolen quite early on. I don't think Blizzy's in too much.
No, he's actually just thumping his chest and saying, come at me. They're really, I don't know if they can do this. They are rotating Gunnar over now. Tombstone dropped behind the tower. It's a 4-man rotation and nothing coming in from Na'Vi to help out Blizzy. I don't know if there's any way out for him here. There's no point in the Searing Chains, though. So can Blizzy actually just walk away?
That's a huge commitment, and they're not even going to get it. You know, 4-man commitment, they lose Brax in bot lane. OD gets a bit more farm when he was already, you know, doing quite well against the Ember Spirit, and just looks like it'll extend even further.
Yeah. All right, well, the question now is, can they get this tower? They got the next creep wave coming in. Tombstone's about to fade. They're not very good at hitting buildings, to be honest.
No, definitely not.
Blizzy's just trying to drag the creep wave.
I mean, until EE actually gets a few items, right? He's got the treads. He always goes that first. He'll go into the Echo Saber next. And then it's a bit of a mixed bag. You know, will he pick up the BKB? Will he get the SNY? He really likes getting MKB as well. But do we think the game is going to go that late? I mean, we're seeing at this point that Na'Vi's definitely got the better of the first stanza.
All right, another block in. Blizzy once again the target. Gunnar tanking the tower a little bit, half HP. Help is coming though. Chu's on his way, throws out the avalanche. Is that going to open up enough space? Nope, one more sleight of fist from Gunnar. They do finally get that kill, but they have spent so much time in this top lane.
I mean, in that time...
Oh, Brax, okay, he's dragging some waves. He's got level 6 now, so he's fine.
Yep. In that time, I think OD and Ember were about level on last hits.
Yeah.
And now OD has a 17 last hit lead just in that time, and they get 1 kill out of it. Not really worth.
Yeah, it's... I was actually surprised at how well Gunnar was doing in lane versus the OD.
And now he's kind of thrown it away.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, they got the 1 kill, but that 1 kill is not worth the, what, 2 or 3 minutes it feels like that they spent all the way up at top.
Absolutely. You know, particularly in this early game, right, where you want to be able to have that, you know, constant movement around the map. We can even see from the levels. Now OD is level 8 versus a level 6 on the Ember Spirit, so that's going to really come into the equation.
And Team once again just running their heroes over towards top lane, but Na'Vi are responding. They've got the Doom thrown out onto Envy. He used the ultimate a little bit earlier. Avalanche only just catching onto him, but they should have the damage here. Don't know if there's going to be an opportunity for a deny. No one on Team can get anywhere close. 5 melee lineup. They even threw out a potential TP there, but looks like it just instantly got canceled. There was no real opportunity.
But Brax would be pretty happy with how this bot lane's gone. Obviously, he did die that one time, but not doing too bad. He's falling a little bit behind in the CS department, but in terms of experience, he's still doing all right. He's level 6, nearly level 7. He's actually got a rotation going through with Anushim now.
They know that they can't kill the Jug, right? So they're just immediately swapping him over. They want to use the Primal Split at mid.
Nice positioning from Misha.
Yeah, he's actually scouting this out a little bit. They do jump in. Fisher coming through, chain stun onto the OD. They don't quite have level 6 on the Oracle, and he gets sent up into the air. The OD down. They do take quite a lot of damage for this, but they look to continue going on. Oracle focus next, stunned up, will be right-click down, and Team, a much more successful rotation than that attempt that they made over a top. Though they do bring all 3 cores to the mid lane, and I don't even know if they can actually get the tower.
Yeah, I mean, it's this early into the game, right? It's pre-10 minutes, bounties are about to come up. Heroes are going to spawn very quickly, right? And it's just going to be so easy to rotate around. I guess focusing on the potential of killing an OD and an Oracle versus a Doom, just because of how tanky he is. You know, that Ice Armor doing a lot of work.
Ishim in a bit of an awkward spot here in the river. Chu gonna cut him off, and looks like it should be a free kill. They're actually tossing him back to Magical just to 100% secure that.
I like it.
Yeah, give him a little bit of extra gold. He does already have a Hex and a Kaya queued up. Is there any chance you think that he goes straight for the Hex? Is that a build?
I mean, it does make him have a lot of utility in these team fights, and you know, the Juggernaut has had very much a free lane. You know, we talk about the tower taking potential that's happened at top with the rotations from team, but Crystallize has basically been solo the whole time, and that tower is at about a quarter HP in bot. And I think he's got a siege creep as well, so might look to pressure it even further.
And the Jug is having a completely free game. His lane was secured by his supports. It's kind of difficult for the Brewmaster to play against him anyway. They had the counter pick, and yeah, he's looking great. I'm so afraid of the Sanity's Eclipse this game, Dan. Like I'm just looking at team, and I just don't see that there isn't a way for them to kind of solve that issue. This game.
And I guess that's a big reason why he might have it queued up already. He's right. I'm going to get this ASAP. You know, he's gone the pretty standard build of having the double null talismans, but you know, not going into things like the Force Staff or the Blink Dagger. Crystallize tries to get the bot tower, but gets denied by Brax. Nicely done.
And Crystallize immediately TPing all the way back to the fountain. Might see him make a rotation with the Omni Slash now. It looks like he is running towards top. So Na'Vi keeping the pressure up, and they do have a little bit of a lead here early on. And 3 of the top 4 net worth all on their side, though. Gunnar not trailing too far behind. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about Magical obviously going with this int heavy build, right? Like, I hate Midas and how it was picked for everything, like as a catch-all build. I think OD now was actually one of probably 5 heroes that you could still build it on because you get so much benefit of having that increased attack speed, right? Like it's one of the most efficient items for attack speed in the entire game. And you get the additional bonus of just having that experience in that gold game.
Okay, an attempt on this top tower. Gunnar is pressuring Blizzy a little bit, doesn't get the chains though, latches onto the creeps, and Gunnar kind of low on mana, does of course have his TP scroll off cooldown, so could head back, refill the bottle. They are looking on Na'Vi to actually head down towards bottom. They've got the Doom available, and Brax still hanging out here under the tower, gets doomed up. Misha also looking to lock him down.
Do they have a follow-up? I don't think they do.
Yeah, do they have enough damage? He's already halfway through the duration. Blizzy's now on top of him, but only 1 point in the Infernal Blade, so Brack's looking like he might actually be just fine. Keeps on running it off. They would like to force out the Primal Split if possible. He uses the Drunken Brawler, but it immediately gets removed. And so he is on the run, tossed forward, but it's just the Mud Golem, and Nushim makes the long run over as Brax tries to find a place in the trees to TP out. Still have some vision on him. This is a lot of time wasted, but he will finally be brought down.
I think he could have got away if he just, kept running, maybe. Just build up a little bit more time. I don't know. Just keep running, right? It's another 5-10 seconds taken.
Yeah. Maybe you force the OD to TP or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the risk of the risk reward was right. I don't mind if I die now, but I really don't want to feed the kill to the OD and enable him to come online a bit earlier.
Yeah. So going back to your earlier point of talking about the Midas a little bit, I think the big thing for me this game is that Na'Vi clearly have the better late game. So the only way to lose here is to be too greedy.
Yeah.
Like, if you buy 3 Midases and you get run over, then you only have yourself to blame. So I really like the decision to just say, okay, I'm just going to pump up my ulti as much as possible. I don't even think he needs to get very many auto attacks off in a fight. He just needs to be able to cast the Sanity's Eclipse, and they'll win the fight at that point. So I totally agree with the decision here to even going the 250 HP talent. I think to me that says a lot about what Magical is looking at this game. Is like, all I need to do is press my ulti.
Yeah.
I can't let them kill me before that happens.
Well, he's already got the Mystic Staff built
Rotation at mid. Nice. Fisher does block off Blizzy. Brax immediately popping the ultimate. They might just be able to kite this away, though. The Tombstone also down, and they're just running for it on Na'Vi. They will be able to send the Doom up into the air, but the Juggernaut's now here on the front lines. Envy pops his ulti. He does hit the Echo Saber. He's going to do decent damage. Crystallize trying to kite backwards. They do have the defensive imprisonment to keep him alive. Blizzy also in an awkward situation, but once again, this Ice Armor is doing so much work for him. And now the turnaround comes. They toss in the Juggernaut. He gets the Omni Slash off. Brax is dead, and Team just getting run over. Blizzy easily able to deal with the Tombstone. They don't quite get the gold. But really good kiting from Na'Vi, good defensive play with the imprisonment.
And again, it was a heavy commitment. It was a good play with the defensive play, but he also used the false promise on him just before he was imprisoned as well. So it didn't have the maximum effectiveness, but still, I'd say getting the better end of that team fight by a fair margin. Now, we see with the OD's build, he's got up the Mystic Staff, so he's getting closer and closer to getting that Hex. And it looks like he's going into a Kaya afterwards. Do you think he needs to build into a bit more like the BKB, just to enable him to, as you said, get off that Sanity's Eclipse and have that impact in the team fights, not get cycloned up by the Brewmaster if he splits?
I think it might be okay. Yeah, the Cyclone is a concern. The other disables I don't think are as much of a problem. Especially with the Oracle. And I think the other way to play it here is instead of getting a BKB, just to get a blink and just wait. So wait far enough away that you can't get initiated on, and then just blink it and immediately pop your ultimate. And at that point, you just do a little Nushim. Yeah, getting jumped on here. Brax is going to take that kill. Working a little bit towards his Vlads. So Team get a nice pick, but still pretty far behind on the tower situation. Actually, all 3 Tier 1 towers still up for Na'Vi, and Team have lost all of their Tier 1s.
Yeah, and we can see the way that they want to build it, right? Like, Nushim has gone into this Soul Ring build and then the Tranquil, so he really wants to prioritize rotating around as much as possible, enabling that Gunner Ember Spirit to be able to have an impact, but we saw
Do you feel like he has? Has Gunner had the impact that you were expecting this game?
I mean, I think he would have if he actually stayed in that mid lane a little bit longer, but that foray up to the top lane, 2 or 3 minutes being taken to kill a Doom once, I think was pretty excessive.
Is it even that good of an Ember game? So we saw the OD pick come out. Of course, the OD is a little bit of a counter pick, so that's granted. But against Navi's other heroes, like Oracle is annoying. He can always just purge. You. He's got the magic immunity on his W, the Fate's Edict. Crystallize, the Juggernaut really doesn't care about Ember. What was the Ember pick supposed to do this game? Because it feels like so far Gunner did okay in the lane, and since then we just haven't really seen a whole lot of him.
I mean, he's not going this super late game farmy build, right? He's going into the Maelstrom, so maybe they just wanted that early pressure just in case Na'Vi wanted to go, super early for a kind of pressure build. Obviously they're not because they've got the better late game, but I guess covering their bases, but it feels like a little bit of an outdraft from Na'Vi, realizing that, right, we probably haven't had the success that we want on these heroes, but we're confident that this is going to really work well for us. And This is actually the first game that Misha's played with Na'Vi where he hasn't been a Vengeful Spirit, and they've actually had a 0-3 record with him playing that Venge. So something a bit different, and the Oracle's been working out really well for him.
Well, like they said in the interview, right, they've played like 25, 30 scrims with him as the captain in the last week or so. So it does seem like Na'Vi have kind of gelled together a little bit more. It's super interesting to me that they would bring in a stand-in for position 5 and just hand him the reins.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of pressure to put on Misha, and well, I mean, so far in this game 1 seems to be doing just fine. Everyone on the panel and everybody here on the desk also agreeing that, yep, we really like the draft. We think it's an outdraft in Na'Vi's favor, and things are looking good.
I mean, it's a big amount of pressure, but it also would inspire a lot of confidence in him, right? Like, if you want a way to get rid of a lot of the nerves, nice, cheeky little bottle by there.
Okay, it's a cute play. I don't think it's a game-winning play.
No. He just wants to get in their heads a little bit with the all chat, with the chat wheel.
Yep. I feel like it has less impact when you're losing the game.
Yeah.
when you're chat wheeling, but
we can see a smoke that's coming up through.
They've got the blink dagger on the tiny.
They do.
This is really scary. Whoever they find should be pretty much an instant kill. Nushim just running away after clearing this camp. Oh, he falters for a second. He comes back. They do break the smoke. Good vision planted down by Misha. They're going to get all of the information here, and they do see Brax. Could potentially pop the Brewmaster before he gets anything off.
I don't think so. I don't think they have the full burst to be able to do that.
They do have Blizzy just around the corner. He has opted for a Midas this game on the Doom, but still doing fantastically in terms of net worth and still hanging on to this Ice Armor creep the entire time. But it's just been so value for him so far this game. Team don't even have the damage.
Yeah, they don't have the damage, and I feel like that's really the big thing with the meta these days is just draft a team that's hard to kill. And I think the Abaddon, the Oracle, the Doom, the Juggernaut, that's why they've really come into power here.
They have so much save, so many ways to play defensively, and they're just chopping this tower. Team gonna try and make something happen, but they can't initiate on the Doom. They can't really initiate on the Jug. They do get the toss back onto Eternal Envy. He's doomed, and Hex Yeti's Eclipse pops him. No buyback available either. Gunner's in the back lines trying to do a little bit of damage to Blizzy, but he just retreats back to the healing ward. Looks like he's gonna be okay. The Tombstone is a bit of an obstacle, still has a decent duration left. They send the OD up into the air. This might finally be their opportunity, but Crystallize gonna come spinning forward. They've got the Oracle ultimate to save the Doom. IX Mike just getting chunked by the orb attacks from the OD. Another Hex coming in onto the Ember. Gunner's going to be okay, but Team just really not killing anyone, and the Tombstone's just about to run out. Magical being kept alive. Crystallize still has the Omnislash going in. It redirects over onto Nushim and kills the Earthshaker instantly. No Echo Slam opportunity. He does have a buyback that he could use, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it. He's trying to buy back and come in. The Hex is available, though. Magical locks him down. Earthshaker still running in, tossed up. Can he finally use the Echo on this OD? Looks like he will be able to. They don't even need it to secure that kill. Decent buyback, but still a big fight for... Well, they lose two big cores on Na'Vi, so...
I think that was very much worth the buyback. You know, he was in such an unfortunate position throughout that entire fight, right? He had about 1950 gold, just agonizingly close to that blink dagger. And it's just so close. You know, we can see how close it is throughout the entire game, but, you know, the odds are definitely in Na'Vi's favor.
It may have swung back a little bit after that fight, but yeah, still very much looking good for Na'Vi. And like we've been saying, Na'Vi are comfortable taking this late. I don't even know if they have to pressure the tier 2 in that situation, but they're probably telling themselves, hey, we've got some item timings, we've got the diffu on the Jug, we've got the Hex on the OD, let's go and make a play. And they do get punished for it a little bit, but I would imagine that we're still very confident about Na'Vi's position in this.
I think Team want to, I'm not sure if they'll be able to, but I think they want to make a move right now because you had a lot of these big ultimates being used on Na'Vi's side. They didn't use the Echo Slam. He's got the blink dagger. He really wants to make an impact right now.
Yeah. And they're pretty close to the Brewmaster ultimate as well. Only 18 seconds to go on the Primal Split.
Yep.
I don't know if they do have the BKB up on Envy as well. He's a little bit away from the blink dagger. That could be another item that they consider waiting for, but if they wait too long, then the Sanities is going to be back up, the Doom's going to be back up, and the Omnislash is going to be back up. So they do smoke now.
It felt like there was a little bit of hesitation, and because of that, the Doom's going to be back up. It's just popped up right now. So, you know, as you said, Sanity's Eclipse very, very shortly, 10 seconds away. they're just making these little cautious forays forward, but it might cost them if they're not able to fully commit onto something.
They need to get a good ward down as well. Mike's got one observer ward at the moment. They're running forward pretty blindly. Blizzy's already got a Shadow Blade. He breaks the smoke. He's going to immediately doom up Brax. This is a bit of a split fight. 4-team team. Can they actually come in here and help out? They drop out the Fisher. Nusham sizing it up. So is Gunnar. He's coming across, but Mike pops the tombstone onto the high ground. He's going to get focused down. And the team looks like they just don't really have anything that they can do here. Gunnar's trying to pressure onto Chu, but Misha's just down on the low ground. We'll be able to keep him nice and safe, and they just come and clean up the tomb, no problem.
Yeah, just that bit of hesitation was the difference, right? Like, if they chose to rotate about 15 seconds earlier, sure, you probably don't want to go towards that tri-camp on the Radiant side. Yeah, they had no vision there. They were kind of choked off into where was safe for them to roam through. But the Doom wouldn't have been up. You know, he wouldn't have been Shadowbladed there. He wouldn't have walked through the area, and they might have got a different pick-off. So it just shows the value.
They were also waiting for the Brewmaster ultimate as well, right?
They were, but I think that could have probably come up during the smoke, right?
Yeah, okay. That's true. I think they could have been a little bit faster. Well, they've got the blink on the Sven now, so Envy reasonably strong, but I'm so afraid with the saving potential. It's so important for Sven that you jump in and you just kill somebody instantly. Yeah. They don't get to use any spells, they don't get to use any items, and against the Oracle and the OD, I just don't think that's possible.
Well, he's picked up the BKB now, right? So, but the Doom has actually been focusing him twice, 2 or 3 times. So even if you've got that BKB, if you don't pop it off...
There's another smoke from Team. They come forward, but once again, smoke gets broken by the Shadow Blade. They're coming around the corner. They look towards Crystallize. They do get the stun off onto him, but a good positioning from the Oracle. Ultimate immediately comes out. Earthshaker getting locked down by the Avalanche. Doom's in here. Sandy's Eclipse gets dropped. Still decent for Envy. He's nice and healthy. They do come in with the auto attack, and Crystallize is dead. It's too much damage. Team running through. They've also got the zombies onto Misha. He's in big trouble. He's going to fall, and they're chasing even a little bit further forward. They look towards the OD. Can they actually bring him down? It's completely surrounding him. Let's go for the imprisonment. TP now coming in from Chu. Can he put his life on the line to keep the OD alive? Magical trying with the auto attacks. Buyback coming in. Have they overextended a little bit on Team? He's under the tier 3. He's got so much armor. Blizzy TP's through. Team, can they just disengage? That's all they want to do at this point. The dust coming in. They're looking for the turnaround. Fake back on the high ground. Magical trying with the auto attacks. What can they do? Blizzy in danger. 5 seconds to go on the Doom. They've only got 9 seconds to go until the respawn on the Jug. He did have a buyback, but he chose not to use it. And now OD finally gets worked down. Team, they are so low. But what a fantastic fight from them.
I think a big part of that is on Nushim. Like, his Fisher block to the left of the Radiant Shrine was absolutely fantastic. The OD didn't have the ability to go in. He was out of range for the Hex. He couldn't even get a single right-click off, and he dropped a Sandy's Eclipse, which, sure, it drained a bit of their mana, but it didn't actually do any damage. He didn't have any install on at the time. Previous fight, he had 12, but it had just worn off. It's not gotten to that late point of the game just yet, where he's been able to, you know, maybe pick up the plus 60 seconds Arcane Orb Insteal if he chooses.
Or even the multiplier talent as well. And Nushim surviving, to me, is the story of that fight. He goes in, they get the lockdown, and then he survives to get off like another 2 Fissures and lots and stuns with the Enchant Totem.
Absolutely.
So, and of course, Envy having the 10-second BKB, very difficult to contest at this point. He's got the Warcry to keep him alive against the physical damage and the BKB against the magical, so...
Yep. They didn't have the Doom at the time either. You know, obviously, as we said, it was about 10-15 seconds off cooldown in that tri-camp area. And he's going into the Bloodthorn as well, so wanting a little bit of silence for the rest of his team, maybe to focus really onto this Doom, onto the OD, just try and quickly burst him down.
Yeah, nice to even get a little bit of mana regen on this Sven. He's got the Echo Saber, but can be a little bit annoying.
We see another foray forward from...
They do have the 10-second BKB on Ember, so very strong at this point. And they are hunting.
They know exactly what's there. The Observer Ward obviously just dewarded there, but you can see Na'Vi looking to do a bit of a Delta split. Just stay the hell away from that camp area.
So if you're Na'Vi at this point, are you just going to try and stabilize a bit? Are we still just confidently heading towards the late game, thinking, okay, if this goes late enough, we auto-win? Or Are they worried about having to work down the BKBs a little bit? Because the win percentage is really liking Team after those last couple of fights, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does need to go towards that later stage of the game. You know, you need to get a lot of these heroes, their level 15, their level 20 talents, just so they're able to have that additional level of impact. As we mentioned before, the 2x Sanity's Eclipse is just going to be absolutely massive against this team lineup. And maybe just getting a little bit cocky as to how that early game went for them. You know, going forward with just a Hex. And Odie actually hadn't picked up anything for quite a while after that initial Hex pickup. You know, he's got the Kaya now. He's now going into the BKB as opposed to, you know, another damage item. He just wants to be able to survive and really have that later game impact.
Yeah, he is like middle of the net worth at the moment, and I think part of that is that you take the health instead of the attack speed, not farming as heavily, but at least he's now got the Kaya. That's a little bit of an extra damage boost for him. And I guess we'll really have to see if it's going to be enough in these upcoming fights. I love IX Mike's build. You were talking to me about it earlier. Yeah, just plays the Venge, buys Bracers, plays the Undying, buys Bracers.
Yeah. He just wants to be as hard to kill as possible, and that is the one thing that I suppose does scale a little bit. You know, Undying obviously drops off, maybe a bit less so now that the Flesh Golem change now has the constant health regen, I guess you could say. But as it gets later on, you know, you've got the Tombstone on Death, for example. So even if you focus a lot into him, it's still going to be quite difficult.
All right, well, Team controlling a lot of space around the map here. Na'Vi split pushing a little bit, forcing out the bottom side. Just avoiding Team, probably waiting out this Aegis, if at all possible.
One thing I'm a little bit curious about is this Tiny build. You know, he's got a Power Treads queued up as that position 4. You know, does he feel like they need to do a bit more physical damage in the rest of his team? Like, he's not going the utility. Do they have a... They already have a Vlad's on the Brewmaster, and he's actually got the Radiance as well, so it's a lot of passive damage there, but... I don't know, I'm feeling like, you know, maybe... Oh, sorry, that's the other team. But but they don't actually have the Vlads picked up right now on Na'Vi, right? It could actually be such a big benefit for them.
Lizzie snipes the courier. All right. I don't think there was anything important on it, but Na'Vi still just securing these items, waiting it out, not going to fight into the Aegis. Crystallize has actually been playing over here on the dire side of the map for quite some time, but just spin TPs away, so he's going to be A-okay. And... to only have the Aegis still for another 2.5 minutes or so. But difficult for Team to force the high ground. That's the other thing this game, is they do not have the best high ground siege heroes.
Other than EE. Like, I feel like EE's definitely got the capability for that with the Earthshake, with the God Strength, with the Echo Saber. He's got 4.6k saved up, not willing to buy anything just yet.
But if you're using the God Strength, that's not exactly a siege.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a little bit extra damage.
I think that's the thing. Oh, Misha caught in the river. All right, just going to go for him. This should be a super quick pickoff. Gunnar pops the BKB for this, thinking that there might be some heroes lurking around the corner looking for him, but instead, it's just going to be the Oracle picked off and battle for the 30-minute bouncy runes.
Yeah. Securing it. Speaking of that God Strength, just popped right now to assist with...
All right, we got ultimates getting popped in every direction. BKB on one side, Doom onto the Earthshaker. Sven just running away with his BKB. The Omni Slash still available. They're finally going to bring down Nushim. Now Omni Slash onto Envy. Does pop out the Warcry. He's going to be okay. The Tombstone also dropped. Hex onto Brax. Should be fine to get the ultimate out if he wants to. And actually, the Juggernaut just in such an awkward position. Omni Slash doing nothing, and then he immediately gets focused down as he pops back out of it.
I mean, that's the benefit of having that previous rotation, right? Picking off the Oracle, not there to save with a false promise. Even though they were able to pick off Nushim, he didn't have the TP on cooldown, so it would have been useless for him to buy back. You know, it would have just had no additional impact. You know, good use of the Doom to start off, but if you're going to lose a Juggernaut as a result, is it really worth it? Probably not.
Yeah, well, losing the Jug also means the lane's going to get shoved in a little bit more. Gunnar, once he picks up this Lincoln's, going to be very free to run around and split push.
Big wave in mid lane, double siege creeps, slowly attacking the tower. I'm sure we'll see a rotation through from the Na'Vi side quite shortly to clean it up.
And wow, Team have actually taken so much control over the Radiant jungle here. They got a bunch of Observer wards down. Really fantastic vision, preventing... well, I mean, Na'Vi are still finding ways to sneak out onto the map and getting things done. Lizzie's sizing up Gunnar at bottom here, but it's just a bit of damage. Still got the Aegis, so I don't think he's really too concerned. Gunnar gonna pop the BKB here. Continuing to fight onto Blizzy, feeling confident. All right, forces out the other BKB. Are these BKB trades better for one team than the other, you feel? Does one team need their like greater than 5-second BKBs more this game?
I mean, I feel like Team wants to end the game earlier. Obviously, they've got the Earthshaker who's got those key items that he needs to have that big impact. We've seen, even without them, Nushim's having a big impact, and they've got the Undying as well, which typically isn't a super late game hero, but you know, they've got the key items up. Has Envy picked up anything? He's got the Orchid, still waiting on the Crystallis and the recipe for the Bloodthorn. I think Team definitely want to finish this, probably in the next 5 minutes or so. You just feel like Na'Vi have to hold
trouble for Gunner. Just get locked down somewhat, but still going to be okay.
We've got both Couriers dead now. Oh no, Dire One's respawn.
Yeah, Dire One's back up. Alright, well we have there's a creep wave at top, but the other waves have been cut by Envy. He does have his Orchid now picked up. Not too far away from the Bloodthorn either if he wants to go for that, so.
Yeah.
Pretty annoying. Well, would be annoying for the OD, though he does also have his 10-second BKB ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. I don't know, I'm still really confused by this Power Treads build on the Tiny. You know, now he's picked up the 4 stuff, so at least you've got that maneuverability. We've seen Nushim hit some great fishes, so you know, maybe just enable that OD to really get in the thick of things, or get out of it if he gets the main focus from the rest of the team, if he gets that silence onto him.
I like the Power Treads from the perspective that it's a little bit more farming and like wave clear potential for the Tiny, and just kind of helps him get into these next items a little bit more. He did, of course, opt for the 20 move speed instead of the 30 damage at level 10.
Yep.
Pretty standard for a support Tiny, but Na'Vi making a big move out here, just kind of baiting behind the Jug somewhat. They don't have a lot of vision, really, so this is probably also a move to get some wards down. And let's see what is actually going to end up happening. Team are moving heroes over into position. Nushim's got himself a Shadow Blade, and I don't know if Na'Vi have all that much detection. They're hiding Magical up. Chu does come forward.
Yeah, Team know exactly where they are. They've got some great vision.
Oh, they
the second smoke.
They popped the smoke, but there's a Fisher coming through. The wraparound is here. Envy jumps in aggressively, but the spin from Crystallize going to keep him alive. He's retreating backwards. Blizzy trying to find his target. They are jumping in a little bit further. Crystallize pops his BKB. The Doom now coming in onto the Sven. They're just trying to kite him around a little bit, as now Magical will commit to the fight with this BKB, with the Equilibrium. He's just focusing on Mike so far, though. Sandy's Eclipse comes through. They do bring down the Undying. It's a 1-for-1 so far. They get the Fisher stun onto the OD, force staffing him a little bit further away. Nice imprisonment, going to help keep him alive, but these zombies are so much of a problem. And now the Earthshaker comes forward. They drop the Echo Slam, and Magical is gone. Na'Vi trying to keep their cores alive, but it's just not working. Misha also getting caught out. On the other side of the fight, we also have Envy running a little bit too far away from his team, and it is going to be Jug and Blizzy turning back around and killing off the Sven.
This is one of those 50-50 plays that we're seeing right here. You know, obviously getting the better of the entire engagement, but you really shouldn't have lost EE from that. You know, now it means that they don't have the potential to take this tier 2 tower. They're going to have to be a little bit more cautious about it. And just the way that Na'Vi played that team fight, I thought was a little weird. They committed a fair amount of attention onto Nushim's Earthshaker. You know, they put down this Observer Ward that you can see in the top lane, in the top jungle. They used the Hex on him. They had the Oracle constantly doing a little bit of damage through to him, but it didn't stop him from, you know, being able to come in, throw in that Echo Slam, and really finish off the fight for the rest of his team. You know, maybe if the OD was right-clicking him a few times, he would have been able to get an easy kill, and then have the actual damage to impact the rest of the fight.
It feels like the OD spent so many of his big cooldowns on Mike.
Yeah.
He used most of his BKB duration, the entire Equilibrium duration, and the Sanity's Eclipse just to kill your position 5 Undying, who has 3.7k net worth.
Yeah.
So
and that's the big benefit of the braces, right? It just makes it so much more
He's really tanky.
Yep.
With the ultimate pop, he's got, what, 2.8k?
Something
HP?
ridiculous.
Yeah. Very, very
constant threat throughout as well.
So, to me, that Envy play is just, he's looking at it as, we've won this fight at this point. The OD's dead, most of us are still alive, so what can possibly go wrong? Well, there you go. Blizzy in some trouble, is going to get silenced up. Nice Fisher as well, keeping the Juggernaut a little bit further away. He finally pops the BKB, looking to run out of this, as Envy going to keep on chasing. He doesn't use the ultimate for this one. Blizzy would have to juke for dear life, but I don't think there's any way out for him here. Brack's still right on top of him. Can they actually lock him down? They don't get the Fisher landing, but Gunner finally comes in from the other side, and that will be One more kill for Team Team. And 100 seconds dead on the Doom with a Roshan already up, ready to be taken.
A bit lucky on the respawn there. I think he'd just come up in the past minute or so. I think it's gotten past the point of space creation, right? Like that, he's popped the BKB for it. It's down to 6 seconds now on the Doom. He's down for another 80 seconds. They're taking Roshan. You know, you can afford to die or at least kite them around for 30 seconds, 10 minutes into the game, not at 35 minutes into the game.
Yeah. So what's going wrong for Na'Vi in this? Are we not at that late game point? Are they just getting outplayed? Are they getting outpositioned? Is it a vision thing? These last few fights just seem like they've really been going Team's way.
I think it's a bit of everything, like all of the above, honestly. A big part of it was the vision game that Team had to be able to recognize that smoke that they had in the top lane. They've been outplaying a little bit. I think the itemization, most importantly. I feel like this OD should have had a much bigger impact early on. And they're sieging high ground.
Yeah, Ember, we said they didn't have a siege hero, but Ember with the double damage is actually making very quick work of that tier 3 tower, and Gunner's still just going. Yeah, he's got the Vlads buffing him up, got that DD, and Team looking to take their first lane of racks potentially here. Magical also running towards bottom. We do have a little bit of a trade happening as Crystallize is also taking a tier 3 over on the bottom side of the map, but much faster for Team. And looks like they're happy to stick around. They do drop the Hex over onto Brax. Don't think they can really burst him down though. And he turns around now with the BKB. Sanity's Eclipse doing absolutely nothing. We thought this was going to be the I win button for Na'Vi, but it's just not the case.
Doom's back up.
Gunner's still fine. Needs to be a little bit careful. This Remnant is taking a while to go back out, and Chu going to be looking for the toss back, but Gunner with another Remnant jump will be just fine. And now Team walk away with their prize. They didn't lose the tier 3 at bottom. It is pretty low, but they strike first blood on these racks.
Absolutely. Just getting that additional team control, not even using the Aegis. E didn't even have to pop his God Strength, so he's just wanting to go right back in.
Yeah, they're just going for the Rikus. And like you're saying, absolutely, why not? There was nothing big committed. They did use Brax's BKB. It's on cooldown for 30 seconds, but all that really means is that he needs to be a little bit more defensive with the Primal Split usage, and that's about it. And they're actually just going to play this high ground. This is such a common play, it feels like.
Yeah, and they're just choking them out. This is what Team really like to do. You know, he's got the gem picked up now on the Bruce, so he just wants to provide zero vision for Na'Vi. You know, it just doesn't give them much hope of coming back. You know, what we thought was a late game advantage for Na'Vi now is a 10k net worth lead for Team. You know, and just being able to farm absolutely nowhere while you've got a lot of mobility on your people like Gunner and that sort of thing. He's going into the Hex next. He's got the cheese in his backpack, so he's got a lot of survivability in addition to that BKB that he's already got.
Yeah, it feels like, even though we felt he did well in the lane, and then there was that misstep by going top, but you compare the impact that the two mid laners have had this game, and it feels like it's just kind of night and day between Gunner and Magical. Lizzie coming out of the base at bottom. He's tanky, but not that tanky, making very quick work of him with the Bloodthorn, and that extra soul burn damage is going to finish him off, and that's no Doom for 70 seconds. Gunner just goes straight into the base, pops the chains onto the Jug. He's got his BKB pop now as well. Just wants to try and focus down Misha, who's retreating back towards the fountain. Gunner, maybe not the best BKB usage for him. Hex does come in onto Envy. Didn't use the BKB just yet, but he does still have the Aegis, though with the God Strength already used. See how useful this BKB is going to end up being, but Team just pushed them all back into the fountain. Brax is already scouting with the Cyclone. Just gonna keep Magical back here as Team go for the throat, go for the racks. Mike also running in, just playing that Space Creator. They do get the stun onto the Jug. Echo Slam now coming through. Crystallized in big trouble. He pops the BKB. He also gets saved by the Oracle, but I don't know if it's really gonna do all that much. Gunner once again keeping them here. I don't know if Team should be diving the fountain. Could maybe just finish off the lane of racks in this situation. And Envy does finally go back. Hits the buildings.
Yeah, they've got that restraint. They don't want to overcommit too much. Another 15 seconds until that Doom is up. I think they'll take this and rotate out.
Yeah. And really, no loss. Chu does go for the toss back onto Gunner, but not the best target. Immediately remnants himself away, and Team gonna be just fine. Even Mike TPing out here, doesn't even TP back to base, just straight to the shrine. Straight to grab these.
They're rotating in onto the shrine, the Radiant Shrine.
Oh, looking to catch something. Brax trying for the TP out. Nushim looking like he might be in some trouble. Still a little bit to go on that shadow play, but he just blinks into the trees and he's out of there. Team completely disengaged. Super clean play. Looking great.
Yeah, nicely done. I mean, during that team fight, EE was about like 100 XP off hitting level 25, so would have had that additional either God Strength or the stun duration. I think if they had that, they might have fully committed onto, you know, just going for the full team wipe, the end game, but, you know, wisely just taking the decision, you know, let's relax, we don't need to commit this far, and it shows a bit of the maturity that they've got, you know, not wanting to make these classic 50-50 plays, and coming out the better for it.
Yeah, there's, at this point, no reason to do anything silly.
Nothing rash.
It feels like they could just grind the game out at this point.
I mean, E's got a butterfly now as well, so
man.
Even harder to kill. We talk about, you know, the difficult to kill potential. You know, now they've got a bit of that themselves. You know, you've obviously got the Undying, who's hard to kill himself. Now the Aegis wears off, so he's got the butterfly now able to put into his inventory, but looks like they might do a rotation quite soon. Smoking up in that mid lane.
Oh, they've got another double damage bottle. The way that they've played around these runes for Gunnar has been so good this game. Magical pops the BKB, but Envy is just giving it to him. So many auto attacks. He's gone. 85 seconds dead. Nushim finds more up on the high ground. Blizzy in an awkward situation as Gunnar just kills Misha instantly. Jug trying to go toe-to-toe with Envy, but he's got this butterfly. This Omni Slash is not doing nearly enough damage. Crystallize comes back out, and they've lost 3. Trying to spin TP his way back, and I think he might just make it. Okay, but still, GG is called. Team. We didn't think they had it for the late game, but a couple of very well executed fights, some good holds, especially around that tier 2 at mid, and they're going to be taking game number 1 here.
Absolutely. Well, really great job to them, defying our expectations as well as those on the panel. And if you had to give an MVP, what would you say?